I'm Constance Culpepper, and I just want to thank In Liquid for letting me take over their Instagram today. For those of you who aren't familiar with In Liquid, they're a visual arts nonprofit in Philadelphia, and I'm an artist member. I basically, through them, have had quite a few opportunities, both like group shows and solo shows, and have sold my work, and so I'm really thankful for them for letting me share some of my work with you today. In Liquid's also a great place if you're not an artist to just go and find new artists. They have like a whole database of people in the Philadelphia region that you can search artists by their medium, like painting, sculpture, ceramics. So it's really great. I even use it that way to find other people and to get inspiration. Anyway, so today is World Collage Day, and I'm excited to kind of talk to you a little bit about my process when I collage, and just kind of collage and let you collage along with me, or just kind of see what I'm doing. Maybe take it for some good ideas or something you can do with your family. It's really just an easy thing that doesn't require a lot of skill or a lot of materials that most people that you wouldn't have. So most things, even without preparation, you probably have this in your house. So to tell you a little bit about myself, I went to school at Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas. I grew up in Texas. I studied psychology and studio art. I primarily am a painter. My painting really is, I have a master's degree in psychology as well, and I'm really interested in my work in kind of the domestic setting and personal surroundings, and I'm interested in how we surround ourselves with things, and all this stuff, these things become really important to us. I mean, I have quilts that were my great-grandmother's, and china that was my great-aunt's, and it's just stuff, but how it can have some meaning in our life, and how also about interpersonal spaces, family dynamics, and kind of what our space might say about us. I think it's just a very interesting thing to explore, and so I kind of explore that in my painting, but then in my collage, which I started collaging when I was actually at home recovering from an injury, and it was just an easy thing to do that I could do sitting down at a table. I have a desk here that I use, and it doesn't require a lot of cleanup. It's not heavy, and it's just an easy thing to do. And so kind of my collage work has come to be more about like exploration and dreaming, and I think more about, because I am interested in home and personal connection and family dynamics, I'm kind of interested with my collage, how we kind of at home, it's a kind of a respite from work, from the outside world. I mean, and now it's started to mean a whole different thing since we've kind of been cooped up for 2 months. But how at home, it's a place where you can kind of be vulnerable and revealing and dream. And so that's really what my collage work is about, is kind of more openness and just kind of exploring. And I've always really been interested in color. And so from my painting, I kind of follow that into my collage work. And so it's really about color. I personally use cut paper. I actually rip a lot of things out of magazines and take photos of inspiration, but it's funny, I don't really use it to collage. I have a big binder that is organized by category of things that inspire me. In fact, this is it. And so, I kind of just, it's hard to see with the glare, but I reference that, when I need inspiration, it's an easy place for me to be inspired without having to leave my house or even look at a computer. Besides books, but anyway, so that's kind of what my collage is about. So let's see. So I think right now collage is just a great thing, because any art in general is sort of meditative, and you really kind of go to another place when you're just, if you're cutting, which that's how I don't really use an X-Acto knife. I mainly cut with scissors. And when I'm cutting, it becomes kind of this meditative exercise, and I'm looking at the shapes, I look at the negative space, and I really kind of focus on that. And so I think when many of us might be feeling anxious or just kind of need a break from the news and what's going on, it can be a really easy, nice thing to do in your home. So if you've been following along within Liquid, they sent out a list of kind of materials to be ready. If you're not, but you want to join along, you basically just need a space. You need something to collage onto. So basically when I collage, I just use paper, but many people, you can collage on cardboard, you can collage on objects like a box or something that you kind of want to decoupage. But for ease, just a piece of paper, poster board, anything. I will say, because I don't want to forget, if you're using paper or a material to collage onto that's the same weight as what you're using to collage with, what I like to do, especially if I don't finish, but whenever you've started gluing, if you're going to leave your project, it's good to put something heavy on top so that it doesn't curl up. But just having something heavy on it will keep your surface, will keep your project soft, it will keep it flat. And even if you forget, like at the end of it, if you just put it under something with some weight on it for a couple of days, it will flatten it out. So that's just a good kind of tip to remember. And I usually put wax paper, or like some parchment paper or acid-free paper over my work before I put something heavy on top, just to kind of protect the surface. So I don't want to get ahead of myself, but just I don't want to forget to mention that. So today I don't collage very quickly because I really like to cut the shapes, cut the paper, make some shapes, look at the images, look at the negative space and putting color. I usually start with a white piece of paper, but I do layer colors, but I like to see what kind of shapes are created when I put the images down that I've made. And so that's why I don't like to glue immediately, which can be kind of a problem because then the end you have all these little cut pieces, but you just take your time and glue them one by one. But you might want to glue as you go. And so if you don't finish today, or if you're going to make something and even make it later, tag in Liquid. It's in Liquid Art, and they're going to share some of the images that people send to them. So, and you can also tag me, Constance Culpepper, because I'd love to see what you're doing too. And I'll be sure to post mine when I finish my work too. So, and so also if you're interested, in Liquid has a newsletter, which they send out. That's great because it kind of tells you what's going on around Philly in the art world, any new artists that have kind of joined their membership or who's exhibiting where. And so it's just great and informative. It kind of tells you what goes on. So if you click the link in their bio, you can sign up for the newsletter. And if you want to follow them and follow me, that would be great. My Instagram is just my name, Constance Culpepper. Anyway, okay, so why don't we start doing some collage? And if you're not ready to collage, you can kind of just watch along. All right, so first of all, I like to, because my collages are not really a realistic portrayal of anything, I like to start with kind of an inspiration. So today I'm using this image. So I've been watching on YouTube, the Barnes Foundation, a museum in Philadelphia. They've been having these art takeouts, the Barnes Takeout. So they've been doing little talks every day that they post on their YouTube channel that they kind of talk about their work. So I was watching one this week, and they weren't even talking about this. It's a Matisse painting called Figure with Bouquet, and they were actually talking about a different painting, but it was in the gallery they were talking about, and it just really kind of struck me. And so I was looking at that, and so this is what I'm going to base my collage on. And also I was looking through Architectural Digest, and I really like this little yellow chair right here. So if you're familiar with my work, I paint a lot of chairs. The reason why I kind of feel like, for me, the chair, it's kind of taken the place of the figure. And I've been really interested in how it's like finding your voice and finding your place. And it just kind of represents kind of strength and permanence and just kind of that you're here. And so that's why I seem to be drawn towards chairs. Okay, so these two images are basically kind of what I'm working from, and I kind of have them over here. So hopefully you can see my desk space. So I only prepped by kind of picking my paper, which is just some white, I like Hansen paper. I have that, and then I have a lot of colored paper. So if you don't have that and you want to have some variation, you can create with markers, pencil, pen. You can create kind of a pattern on some paper and then cut that if you want to have some paper, and have some difference in your colors if you're limited in what you have at home. And then obviously too, if you have magazines, things you can rip out from there, you can really add a lot of color. So I like the blue. So I kind of picked from my papers some blues that I'm interested in using. And so I save everything I cut. So this box is one of many that's kind of full of a lot of little cuttings, because I really find interesting shapes that sometimes really kind of start to inspire me when I just am starting and don't have a specific idea of where I want to start. Sometimes I'll find a shape of something I've cut and it really it's a great starting point. So in fact, this little image that I cut from the other day, I just saw it this morning and I think that I'm going to use it in this collage. So this has some colors. The lemons in this painting have some yellow, and I know I want to use yellow. So I have some yellow here, but I'm going to put it over to the side. So I kind of just have it visible to the side while I'm cutting. Also, if you all have some questions, I thought maybe what I'll do is I can kind of look back and see and you can post. I can take a little break and you guys can post some questions if you have like anything specific to ask. If you can't think of it or you think of something later, feel free to message in Liquid or myself, and I'd be happy to answer anything. And also I just wanted to say, this is my process and the way I collage, but one thing that's great about collage, there's really no like wrong way to do it, and everyone kind of does it a different way. And when I was first starting to collage, I thought like, well, how do I glue it? How much glue should I use? What should I do? And you can really just use any kind of glue. If you're interested, I like this nori paste because it's dries completely clear and it doesn't make a watermark, and you can move the image around for a little while after you put it down. And it also is fine with really delicate papers, because you do have to kind of be careful with some glue if you're using something really delicate, like a rice paper or something. So, but really just anything will work. You could even use double stick tape if that's all you have. Okay, so I think, so in this image, and so I'm not responding to all of this kind of orangey red. So I think that I'm going to have kind of a window or something in this area of my work. But I was thinking maybe it's more like a night sky or something, and we're seeing something out our window. But I'm not sure. And this is why I don't want to glue it, because I really like to think about what's going on, and like maybe I want to put, something underneath this. I don't know. So I just like to really leave it open. It's a very kind of organic process. And it's kind of, and it kind of helps to, especially if you feel like, it has to be something perfect, it kind of takes the pressure off that. So you can really work and move it around. I will say, if you do this, do it in this way, make sure you take a picture of everything before you leave, because many times something's happened and it's gotten messed up. But if you have a picture, you can kind of put everything back to where it was. And someone just asked what kind of glue that I use. So it's nori paste. It's by Yasutomo, and it's Nori, and it's really great. So I highly recommend it. Okay, so all right, so let's go. So I have an X-Acto knife. I don't use it because I just really don't like the feel. And I have different size scissors because, they just cut differently. And if you like to, cut little tiny things, you just need some tiny scissors. So let's see. So let's just start. So here's my image. I'm going to kind of put it to the side so I can see it. Maybe you guys can see it if I put it here. So here, sorry. Let me just put it up. Okay. So the color paper I use, just if you're interested, it's Canson paper, and it comes in so many shades, you name it, they have it. And I just like it. It has a little bit of texture on one side. The other side's kind of more flat, and it just cuts really nicely. When I glue, I'll just show you, since I probably won't glue today, I really only kind of glue on the edges. And that's it. That's really all you need. Because if you glue the whole thing, it's going to really wrinkle your paper. I guess if you were gluing onto something that's much heavier, that would be fine. But it's just really not necessary. Like it's not going anywhere. But unless if you're making kind of something more three-dimensional, you might want to put more glue if it's going to be something that's going to be handled. So otherwise, yeah, just kind of on the corners and I don't mind if some things are kind of coming up from the surface, as long as I know that the whole thing is the whole thing is going to stay down. If there's glue somewhere, that's all that matters. Okay, so let's see. So I'm looking at my image, and there's a lot of blue, and I kind of want to use, I like this, it's sort of a periwinkle blue. So I just kind of start cutting. So, and sometimes I kind of look at some of the images I have, some of the shapes I have from my past cuts, and I just sort of, you kind of have to take a breath and kind of look at it, and I really didn't. This is me starting from the beginning. So besides picking some papers, I haven't really thought about how or what I'm going to do. And I don't think that I'm going to put the figure in here, but I'm not sure about that. So, okay, and someone asked the paper. So it's Canson, Canson. They make a lot of art materials and a lot of fine art paper. So any art supply store has it. You can find it online. You can probably even find it on Amazon, but it's pretty easy to find. So, okay, so I'm kind of, and I often do this too, where I have kind of these shapes that I've cut before, and sometimes I like to just put them on the paper and just see kind of sometimes what takes place. But I know that I kind of am liking this shape, and that this cutout is here, and this is kind of it's the color of her skin, and I don't know if I'm going to put a figure, but I kind of like this juxtaposition of color, so that's going to go in there. So, I kind of have enough space. Sometimes if you need to use the floor, and you can put stuff down to the side. I like to kind of see my colors that I have, choices of things to cut with. So let's see. Okay, so I think I'm going to cut with this. Actually, no, I'm going to cut with the yellow, because I know that I want to have a yellow chair in there. So let's see. So I encourage you all to turn on some music, because that's what I like to do. I don't want to put it on today because it might be distracting, but so I usually put some music on, and I just have my water and my tea, and I just take my time and kind of see what kind of just what develops. So I know this chair has a nice kind of shadow here on the side. I don't know if you guys probably can't see it, but I just really like how that looks. So it's a little haphazard, some of it in the beginning, and I think that the more you can let yourself just kind of be okay with that, the better. And I try to remind everyone that, because people say, oh, I can't do it, or it doesn't look how I want. But if you can be more open to just kind of whatever comes out of you, and whatever you produce, kind of being with it and being okay with it. And maybe it might not be exactly what you thought, but maybe it's better, or maybe it's just more your own. So I think that, anyway, it just, yeah. So, okay, I don't know, can you guys not hear me if I turn around? Okay, so I'll try, if I'm speaking, I'll try to look at you guys. Sorry if you can't hear me. Okay, so what I was saying is I like the shape, the chair that I was looking at in the image. I like that there's a shadow on the side of it. So I'm going to use my blue to create a shape and a shadow. So, okay, so let's see. All right, so I'm gonna collage for a minute, and then I'll turn and see if you guys have some questions, but I invite you to kind of start cutting and collaging. So, okay. All right. And then I'll look if you guys have any questions. I'll turn around in a minute. So, okay, let's see. And I like to cause kind of free form kind of cut sometimes, so that like, just to kind of see what comes out of that. So, yeah, so I don't know, just don't put too much pressure on yourself. So, and also I'm really not sure like what size I want to do yet. So anyway, we're just gonna kind of let things develop and let things just, see where they kind of go. So in the image, there's some purple flowers here, and I really have been cutting this kind of, both in my paintings and in my work, this kind of flower, like, it's almost like two infinity signs kind of mixed together that it's become like this image that I really, really like cutting, and I guess I kind of get, you kind of like specific shapes of things that appeal to you, and it's sort of like it's a flower but it's not, and and because it's based on infinity, it's kind of like this circular kind of infinite thing, never ending. It just, I don't know, it's kind of interesting. So and yeah, let's see, I'm going to look and see if you guys have any questions. I don't seal my collage at the end, so what I do is, when everything's glued down, I let it sit I put it under something heavy, and then after about a week or so, I actually frame them, and I frame them just on, like, not matted on top, but on top of a mat, and then in a glass frame with a simple white frame, just because I sell my work, and because it's paper, it can be damaged, and so it's just easier, because when I need to show it, it's got to be ready to be shown. So yeah, but it doesn't really need to be sealed. It's fine. So just, it's fine as is. It's really so simple. It's yeah. I mean, this is what's great, because if you have young children and you want to collage with them, you can do that. If you have grandparents or older people around and you want to collage with, you can even, I think it's really interesting, like if you can see the edge of this paper is ripped. I used it on a collage I was doing, and I was ripping some of the edges because I like that. It just adds it adds some texture and just a different cut to it. So, you don't even have to use scissors. You can just rip things. And also, I use paper, but I sometimes sew, because I love to sew and I love fabric. And so I oftentimes cut fabric and glue fabric in. And even the thinnest cotton fabric glues fine. I've used regular Elmer's glue, but the nori paste that I use is great too. And so even though it's really lightweight, it works wonderfully with the paper. And then I've even used more my sewing machine than hand sewing, but I've done some hand sewing where I've sewn into the paper and then glued it on. But you don't have to just use paper. You can really just use a million different things. Okay, so let's see. What else? Does anyone have any other? Do you want to see something finished? I can show you some finished pieces. Let's see. Let me just cut a couple of things out, and then I will. So since I've been working at home, I've been doing a lot of collaging, and so and this piece of paper, it has like I stamped something on the other side, and I sort of like, I don't know, maybe I'll use that with part of the lettering. It says handle with care, so I don't know. But if something's kind of ruined or it gets cut the wrong way, don't be discouraged, because sometimes, like, the scraps can be really interesting. So, okay. And so I'm gonna be working on this collage. So like last week, it usually just takes me about a week to finish. to finish collaging. And I just really take your time and, post your work when you're finished. And so let's see some of the questions. So yes, the nori paste, it's acid free and it doesn't yellow anything. And so that's why, another reason I really like it. It's good if you're, selling your work and doing this professionally, it's good for that. And it's not expensive. If you'll give me 1 second, I'll get a work to show you guys. Actually, I'll show you something that's really old. Sorry. So this is like one of the first collages I did, and it's on, it's not framed because it's kind of falling apart, and it's on some poster board. Yeah, so, mainly they're framed, and on my website, and also, on my Instagram, I have tons of other finished pieces that I can, and if you look at my Instagram for the last couple of days, and actually last couple of weeks, I've been posting just mainly collage, which are all things I've been doing at home. Okay, so let's see. So I'm gonna just get back to the yellow. So I know that, this is really what I do. I know that I want a chair over here, but I'm not exactly sure how much I really like to kind of abstractly represent images. So I kind of start with a couple of shapes that are reminiscent of the image, but I kind of then like to use, with moving things around, figure out how I can kind of change that image and not make it so representational, without completely, making it look confusing, which sometimes it is confusing and it's more abstract. But that's kind of the point of the freedom and like letting it just kind of be this, this open organic image. If you want, you could, when you're starting to do things, if you're kind of more sure of where you want your things, all your paper, your material to be, you could start gluing. And so, again, I would take, just a little bit of glue on each corner or a little cut mark, and then just gluing it down. Just make sure when you do that you kind of use a paper towel and I make sure like the glue's off my hands and that it's securely glued down and that there's no like glue sticking out. Just to kind of keep it not so messy. And yeah, someone said they'd like to cut out the chair. Yeah, that's a good idea. And I have all these, if you kind of saw my big binder of images, I have so many things that I love, and I don't use newspaper, and we actually get the newspaper once a week, but I don't know. My work, and if you've looked at my paintings, like it's the color is kind of the first thing. I think that's why I was like drawn to painting. So like it's all about color, and that's what kind of want to do. So, okay. So I think that, I don't know, does anyone have any other specific questions? So Instagram is going to post the images that people of their projects, of their collages. So when you're finished with yours, even if it's later in the week, just make sure that you tag Instagram, in Liquid Art, and you can also tag me because I'd really like to see what you guys do. And I think that's it. I don't know. If anyone doesn't have any other questions, I'm here collaging most days, and it's just been really good to have something to do since I can't really go to my studio. So I like to, I kind of reference my image, but I'm not finished, I'm just sort of working, but I'm not copying exactly what I see, and I just really do use it as more of an inspiration than anything. And sometimes I really like the lemons on the table, so I definitely am gonna keep that in. But we'll see. I've been painting figures lately, and I've only really collaged. I only had like one figure that I've included in a collage, but I'm like maybe now's the time to start doing that. And someone else, I think, um, yeah. So you can do hashtag in Liquid, and they will include your work. Sorry, I was just looking at the questions. Oh, the paste again. I'll post it at the end, but it's Nori paste, Nori, and it's by Yasu Tomo. So, and what else? So, sometimes, it's interesting to like draw into. I haven't used scrapbook paper, but that would be great. I've used like some origami paper. I mean, you could even use wrapping paper, and I do have some like handmade paper that I've used a little bit, but I kind of just like creating patterns with the colored paper. I'll show you what I did use. So this is a print of one of my paintings that the colors weren't really right, and so I've been cutting it up and using it to collage with. So anything interesting that even comes in the mail, I try to keep it, and because you just never know. Yeah. So I think that's it. So I'm sorry that like it's not this finished thing, but I don't work that fast. But I thought like it would be really interesting for you guys to just see. I just cut that out, but maybe they'll use that. I just really kind of, it takes me a couple days. I like to kind of cut some shapes, play around with color, and look at negative spaces of things, and then see, what just feels right to me. So I work really organically. So yeah, Canson Mitiente is the paper that I use. So I don't know. That's it. So I don't know if in Liquid, if you guys want to share the screen with me and say something. I really thanks again for having me. I think that follow in Liquid and follow me on Instagram. It's Constance Culpepper. I'll post this when I'm finished, and I'll do a story. I know someone asked if they could see some collages, and it's definitely different than just seeing a picture of it. So I'll do a story and post it on my Instagram of going through a couple of my, just holding up some of my collages that are finished for you guys to see. So let me see. Sorry, hold on. Let me see if I can. Hold on. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm seeing if I can. I don't know how to like ask them to. Let's see. Nope. I think. All right. Hold on. I think they're coming. So. Someone asked. So my scrapbook. So just answer one quick question. So yeah, my little scrapbook. I just use like clear sleeves that I can just sort of put images into, and so so it's great. And then you can take them out. So I take them out, and put them up on the wall when I'm need to look at things for inspiration. So that's it. And I use different kind of paper all the time. So this base paper, it's something I cut in half. I tend to work more larger than smaller, but kind of different every time. It's like what I'm in the mood for. Hi, Liz. Are you there? Hi.
So I'm Liz. I am Liz Rowan. I'm from In Liquid. I'm the content coordinator. Again, I just want to thank you, Constance, for taking time today to celebrate World Collage Day with us and to you tips and techniques. Thank you, everybody else, for tuning in today. We also want to thank Collage Magazine for coming up with World Collage Day. This is such an exciting day worldwide, especially given, the time that we're in right now, the fact that it's the day before Mother's Day, and we want to find different ways to interact with one another and ways to kind of show love towards our mothers. The timing, I want to say, couldn't be more perfect, but the timing was good on this one. But for everybody else who's new to In Liquid, I just want to share with you that we have virtual programming planned from now until whenever restrictions are lifted. Please visit us at inliquid.org to see some great virtual programming that we have ahead of us. Also, keep in mind to follow us on Instagram. We always have new content to share. Follow us and join our newsletter subscription. And we will share weekly content with you from our site. Again, thanks so much, everyone, for joining. And thank you, Constance, for sharing your technique with us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks
Yeah.
again. And I just wanted to say one thing too. On my Instagram, I'll post a list of some of the materials I use, just that for people that are interested in knowing what they are, and yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, it seems like the biggest question of today was what glue you use
Yeah.
and what paper you use. And to
Yeah.
answer that, it's Canson paper and nori paste. So in case anyone's just tuning in now.
Yeah, thanks again. Thanks in Liquid. You guys are great. And yeah, I really enjoy like all the things you guys share and everything that you guys have been doing during the last couple months, especially when
Yeah,
can't really get out and see the art. So
no, right? What better time to make art, right?
yeah.
So everybody, please share with us, tag us in your creations. We'd love to share on our stories what you've created today. If you plan and what you plan to do with it. Do you plan on hanging it? Do you plan on gifting it? You know, we just really are interested to see what you're doing. So I'm going to log out now,
Okay.
but it was wonderful seeing everybody in here today. All right. Happy World Collage Day and happy Mother's Day to all of our mothers.
Yep. Thank you. Yep. Happy Collage Day. Happy Mother's Day. Thanks again, everyone. And yeah, thanks. Just if you have any questions, just feel free to message me on Instagram. Just Constance Culpepper is my Instagram. And thanks. Just yeah, share your stuff. And one last tidbit. It's a little late, I guess, to send a card in the mail to your mother, but you can make a little collage card. I often do that for my family, but it's a great thing to share with your friends or people that you might not be able to see. You can make them a tiny collage and just send it in the mail. So that's it. All right. Happy Collage Day. Thanks for tuning in and listening to what I had to say. All right. Bye.